Welcome back to another episode of Born Again Bow Hunting Podcast.
Shoo-wee.
We are back-to-back recording nights here, which is good because this will be fresh in our minds from last night till tonight.
Yeah, and I want to apologize again for my voice. It's a lot better than yesterday, but there were some times in yesterday's podcast, old Nick and Easton talked our ears off, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But, I lost my voice a couple times yesterday. So I got a cough drop in the mouth.
You're prepared.
And I'm ready. I got extra water, so there won't be any scratchiness in the throat.
There we go.
But as you guys probably listened to last week's episode, we had Nick and Easton on from the Venari Effect. Covered a lot of different topics about, some of the, frustrations that we have with hunting. We do have King Corn with us here today. Jerry's not in the house. So we have King Corn with us. So I kind of want to give him the rundown of what we talked about. And then obviously we're going to introduce our main guest here in a second.
And he might put King Corn in his place.
Yeah, he's definitely going to put King Corn in his place.
I'm ready.
And there were some stories about deer hunting before where Kevin Mullet, who's sitting right next to me, I'll let him introduce himself in a second. He's probably like sitting here judging us hardcore based on some of the stories that I promise we're not like that. But, basically we had Nick and Easton on. We talked about some things that we disliked about Ohio. We talked about some things that we liked about Ohio. Obviously, I would say that the main factors of the dislike would be drones. So like we can like categorize that in technology, non-residents, baiting, lack of access, kind of all kind of tying into that. Maybe some outfitters. I think outfitters got brought up. Am I missing anything,
And
Kev?
crossbows through the whole season.
Yep, crossbows, like liberalized weapons, I guess, would be a categorized or a category that we kind of talked about.
I think that's pretty much it then.
So yeah, we kind of just had a round table of, basically anything that you've heard people, gripe about, we talked about.
Yep.
We also gave the numbers from Ohio, 77,000 crossbow harvest to like 13,000 vertical bow.
Jeez.
So
It's a huge difference.
yeah, it was.
I don't think I do that.
Yeah.
I expected it to be high, but I don't think I expected it to be.
Yeah, and I
So-
didn't break it down to a percentage.
No.
But
Sure.
Yeah.
And those numbers was that from the ODNR or was that from, okay.
Yeah.
That's total for the year?
No. Our total was like 230 something, 235,000.
They
But
dropped
out
the
of
numbers
that-
yesterday.
Out of that 235,000, 77, I have it on my phone, 77,000 was crossbow and like 13,000 was vertical bow.
But you're saying, okay, so 90,000 roughly, 90,000 bow kills?
So I'll give you the rundown again because people probably want to hear these numbers. So in Ohio, the ODNR dropped a stat that we killed 232,142 deer. So that was the amount of deer that were checked. Out of those deer that were checked, I don't want to read them stats. 78,000 and some change. So it breaks down to 34% was a straight walled cartridge. So 34% is the highest category of deer harvest, and that was straight wall rifle.
Makes sense.
Second is the crossbow at 77,000 and some change, almost 78,000 to be honest, at 33%. So 1% difference between rifle. And then the next category down in most harvest was vertical bow at just under 30,000 at 13%. And then after that is shotgun at actually just, I didn't realize this yesterday when we were talking, vertical bow and shotgun are only within 45 harvest. So vertical bow was 29,845 and then shotgun was 29,800. So 45 more deer checked in with a vertical bow than a shotgun. Both of them break down to roughly 13%. Then after that, we have muzzleloader at 15,000 and some change, which is around 6%. And then the next category down is handgun, which was 562, which is less than 1% of deer harvest. So kind of to break down more stats, we did end up killing 48% doe at just around 112,000. It was just a little bit under. And then we had 42% antlered bucks at 96,000. And then button bucks was 9%. And then bucks with shed antlers or antlers shorter than 3 inches was around 1%, and it was just under 3,000.
I'm surprised how many shotgun kills. Like,
Yeah.
how many people are still using the shotgun compared to straight wall or muzzleloader now?
Yeah, I don't know too many people actually that use a shotgun. Like when I'm talking to friends and buddies, and just I don't know too many people that actually use a.
It's completely shifted. I mean, I know the moment when it was legal.
What was that Savage? The Savage 220 or Savage 212?
The
bolt action gun.
Yeah, I think 220.
I remember when that came out. It was like, oh, that was the gun.
Oh well, it was when it became legal. It was like I don't need a reason.
No, but that
But I've got a
that
reason.
Savage wasn't a.
That was a shotgun.
That was
Yeah,
a
no, no.
shotgun.
No,
It
not-
shot an AccuTip.
Yeah. I'm saying, but when straight wall became legal, that's why that took off, and that makes perfect sense. But yeah, I don't see anybody now using a shotgun at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
And any debate
good for
question, what's the best deer rifle? It's always one of three,
Yeah.
350, 450, and then there's always a new cartridge out.
Yep. But before we go down too much of a rabbit
Yes.
hole, let's kind of tie this conversation back in. So, we talked. If you haven't listened to last week's podcast, I would strongly suggest you checking that out first.
Yeah, pause this one, go
Pause
back to
that
last
one,
episode.
watch last week's, and then you'll be caught up on our rant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason why we have this gentleman on to my left is that everybody gripes on social media, and everybody wants to bicker, and everybody wants to point fingers at the next guy. But how can we, as a hunting community, come together to actually change something? So our goal was to kind of give our roundtable discussion with Nick and Easton, who are very vocal about their opinions on things in Ohio, and they do it in a very professional way. And then we were like, okay, let's hash it out with those guys, and then let's have Kevin Mullet on, which probably a great time to introduce yourself and kind of give the rundown. And then we're going to kind of hash it out with you on, okay, so now what are the next steps? So why don't you introduce yourself, maybe talk a little bit about, who you are, what your brand is, what you guys stand for, and go from there.
Yep. Well, like you alluded to, my name's Kevin Mullet. I started Hunters Advocate of Ohio, which is basically a nonprofit.
And you're not a relation to Javen, right?
No relation. No.
Just same last name?
Same last name.
How many times do you get asked that question?
All the time.
I was like, is that his brother?
Yeah. We get thrown together all the time, but no. We're good buddies, but thankfully we're not brothers. No, so I basically started Hunters Advocate with exactly what you were talking about. We always sat around and talked about these issues and griped about them, complained about them, and I was like, nothing's going to come of this. We're just all we're doing through this is just
Stirring the pot.
Yeah, we're stirring things up. We're all getting frustrated, and we're not creating a change of any kind. And then what really lit the fire in me was listening to some of Skip's live stuff in Iowa, and the pull he has with their legislature. He goes into the state house all the time, and they actually, from my understanding and conversations with Skip, they actually ask him to come in and give his view on different, new topics. Like
Wait, who does?
Skip.
The DNR from Iowa?
No, so the legislators, the state reps, will ask him to come and basically inform them and give his side of the story.
Gotcha.
And he's fought all kinds of crossbow bills and baiting bills and all kinds of stuff. He goes in and testifies, and that's huge. And he's grown and gotten relationships, built up with them to the point where they want to hear his side of the story. They know when they ask Skip to come in, he's not there to make a buck. He's not there for any other reason other than to elevate the resource and put the resource first and foremost. And that was kind of my goal going into this. And I wanted to jump actually to, I just so you know, I was not judging you guys at all. Any conversations we're having, anybody killing deer over bait, I seriously have no problem with it. It's legal. And up to 2019, I was slaughtering deer over bait. Like I had and from my standpoint on an ethical side, and there's no issue. Like I don't care about that at all. I'm just looking at like how can we elevate the resource? How can we make things better? How can we improve access? How can we make a change that improves the state as a whole? And in my opinion, and the research I've done and the people I've talked to, whether it's biologists or guys like Skip, and the thing we always come back to is like baiting. I mean, that is the biggest one. Like that is the one where, you throw all these things at the wall, whether it's non-residents, crossbows, cell cameras, any kind of new technology, and baiting. You throw them all together. They all have, they play their part. But if you take away baiting, automatically decreases the effectability of a cell camera. It automatically it slows non-residents because they can't just lease a big farm and throw corn on it, have the farmer throw corn on it the week before they come out and hunt. It affects all this stuff. In my opinion, you take baiting away, you have guys that quit insulating themselves as hard as they are. There's guys right now. I know a guy that money is not an issue, and he owns 1,000 acres, and he continues to chunk that thing together as much as he can, and he'll continue to lease up ground and buy up ground all around him to insulate as hard as he can, as long as he's having deer sucked off of his property and getting shot on these little properties. I'm not saying that the little guy shouldn't have a chance, but now what's happening is you've got a guy with 1,000 acres who just feeds the tar out of deer right in the middle of his property, and that little guy has less of a chance than he did before at equal distribution across the landscape, and also he's displacing people every time he buys another property and leases another property around him to insulate. So if we can get rid of some of that stuff, first off, we can stop the installation. I personally feel you get rid of baiting and we'll see some redistribution of access. Guys won't be able to, have cell cameras or have one cell camera on 100 acres with a big corn pile and monitor the whole thing super effectively. And I think without baiting, you lose some non-residents, you for sure lose some outfitters, and that automatically starts opening up some access here and there. Anyway, I'm sure you guys covered that stuff with Nick and Easton. My point was just our goal as an organization, my goal when I started this was not to judge people, not to be divisive. It's to how can we elevate the resource? How can we put the resource above our own selfish desires to just kill deer? And I think if we do that, we will all naturally benefit from it. And I think that's also healthy. If there is anyone that didn't listen to your guys' discussion with Nick and Easton, they can kind of get the gist of where we're coming from. If you're shooting deer over bait, I don't care. Our goal is just let's improve this thing. Let's work together and improve this resource as a whole. And so that's kind of my rundown. As far as like my background, I grew up just loving anything outside. I mean, it didn't matter what it was. I was out, shooting squirrels, chipmunks, groundhogs, the whole thing, until I was old enough to go deer hunting, and struggled through that. We were bouncing around mostly on public and some small permission pieces, and then the leasing picked up and we were fully on public for a long time. And since then it's come back around. We've, I've got a couple of leases. I own a little piece of ground, it's a small piece. And I hunt some public, and I run cameras anywhere I can and try to get access everywhere I can. Last year I knocked over 100 doors trying to get access. I got permission on one property, by the way.
I was just about to ask what your percentage was.
No, well, okay, I should say I knocked on over 100 doors. I knocked on around 100 doors in one area, and I got one new permission piece in that area. I knocked on some other properties. I knocked on about 50 other.
What
other
was
doors.
I'm curious. What was the majority reason for no? Was it we already have hunters, or was it we don't want you to hunt?
No, I didn't. I got zero no's from people that were not letting anyone hunt. Everything was leased. Everything leased. Everything. Literally every single property.
Wow.
Now that was in farm country where there's bigger farms. A lot of these pieces were like not under. It was like 50 to 300 acres. Those were the doors I was knocking on, and those are all. I mean, they are leased up and locked down hard.
Now, selfishly, I want to ask this question, but don't give away where you're hunting. But like, is this mostly like Amish country, or is this like that just blows my mind that 99 farms out of 100 were leased.
It doesn't surprise me though.
Well,
and some of those leases could be waterfowl.
I will say not all of them were leased. Most of them were leased, but the people hunting were like. So there was a few landowners that were like, "No, we hunt. We're a hunting family, or my kids hunt, or whatever." But I would say probably over 60% were leased.
Wow.
And that was not. That would, I mean, this area, I mean, I got one permission farm and it's just a field, so I can't really hunt that area anyway. That was in Tuscarawas County. And it's a good county for sure. I mean, there's no doubt. But it is incredibly hard to get permission anywhere.
Wow.
I mean, it sounds crazy, but like the amount of money these people can make off of leasing land to anybody that shows up. I mean,
what's the going rate? Like $100 an acre?
I don't know.
That's at least the number that I've been tossed.
Way too expensive for me to even think about it. And that takes a ton of hunters out of the game. But they can also just start increasing that number, and people are still going to pay it.
Well, that's the thing. Do you think they would say, yeah, it's already leased, so that you would be like, well, what are they paying? I'll pay X amount. You know, do you think that was some of their game plan maybe?
It could be. It definitely could be. I didn't really check into any of that. If something's leased, or honestly, if people are hunting a property, I usually move on. I'll hunt with other guys. Like if I find a property where a guy just lets anybody hunt, and there's 15 guys hunting 400 acres, I'll jump in and try to find something. But if there's a guy that's leasing, I don't really dig into that much. What are they paying, or whatever. But it could definitely be that they're trying to get bids. I know there was one guy that I talked to. It was actually not far from here. It's local to this area, and obviously this area gets pounded.
Yeah.
And this guy's got 40 acres, and he's leasing it for $7,500 a year. And
you got to stop. If my dad hears this, I'm gonna have a problem, and I don't have a place to hunt.
it's insane.
Throttle back.
And he's got a wait list of guys waiting to get on that property.
Crazy.
And it's not
I
that
bet
good.
I bet I could point in the
Which direction it is.
that thing's at. Yeah, that's insane.
It is.
Insane.
It's
It's
wild.
disgusting.
Yeah.
It's one of those that you think of like the economy into a scale. And you're like, okay, well, this is X million dollars. I'm curious what leased property for hunting rights brings into the economy, into pockets.
So it's funny. I'll just tell a funny story for the listeners and you guys as well. So, obviously for the listeners, Kevin, you don't know this, but I work in the dairy industry. So I work for WG Dairy in Creston. We install robotic milking equipment. So I travel all over the state to large dairy farms and install robotic milking equipment. And I get to talk to a lot of people with a lot of big farms. And, you always try to, like, squeeze in hunting, because, like, that's part of my job. Like, I'm going to introduce myself to the farmer. I'm on the farm for X amount of time. Like, hey, could I deer hunt, And, like, this one farm near Coshocton that we were in, very large farm. I think it was, like, 800 or 900 acres. And, I was just like, I know that somebody probably hunts this, but, what are the chances that he can just give me, like, a little section of it to kind of, like, call my own? So I asked him, I said, like, hey, what are the chances that, I could earn my way to hunt or, like, work a deal out or something? And he's like, unless you have a checkbook bigger than $30,000 a year.
Oh, man.
Unbelievable.
Three. So, and this isn't a knock against the Amish community because they are extremely hard working individuals and they like
They're driven.
They like their deer hunting. But he said that 3 Amish families split it. And he said it's the craziest thing in the world. He said they show up with a briefcase with cash every year and just crack that baby open and here's your $30K.
Golly. This is what I'm saying. Like this person is making someone's salary.
Yep.
In just leasing
This farmer
property.
is leasing his ground, which like I said, it was like 800 or 900 acres for $30,000 a year.
That is so wild.
That's nuts.
I talked to there was a supporter of ours. I hadn't seen him in a while. He had come to a couple events that we did and saw him at the Northeast Ohio Sportsman Show, and he was telling me him and 4 other guys were leasing 500 acres for $18,000 a year, and an outfitter leased it for 23. And they let it go because they didn't want it. But it's like, I mean, at what point? Like, at what point is it just unachievable? Like, I mean, you lease like what you're saying, 30,000. You lease that for 10 years, you could have paid off a farm.
Well, that's my thing. Like, why not just buy something?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, okay, so this is the problem. This is just like the market with land. You can't buy a piece of land anymore.
Yeah.
So now they have to lease it because they can't find something to buy. And it's getting to a point where now you've got competition in leasing that it's just going to drive it so high that nobody can truly afford it.
And that's something that we didn't really talk about yesterday was the leasing aspect. We kind of covered
We touched,
outfitting and a little bit of leasing, but more so outfitting. But yeah. Kevin, what would you say that, so in Mount Hope a couple weeks ago, the what is it actually called? Northeastern Ohio Sportsman Show. You guys had a booth there.
Yep.
What would you say that the majority of people, either their gripes about Ohio or like what was, like if you had to like put everything into a majority vote, what are most people angry about with Ohio?
I would say the residents everybody's really unified on a non-resident draw system. But I would say we hear more about baiting. I think as far as residents would be more unified on the non-resident issue and would be all for limiting a non-resident draw system, basically, limiting non-residents. I think there are very few resident Ohio deer hunters that don't see our access issue and say, yeah, that would be beneficial.
Do you have any details on what maybe something like that would look like 20,000 non-residents, 15-10 every other year draw? Like what are your thoughts on that?
So we have approximately, if I would have to go back and look at my notes to be exact, but I believe we have around twice the whitetail habitat that Iowa has. And they allow 6,000. So if we used their standards, we would be at 12,000. Now I do believe they are pretty low on that. They are pretty low on that. I think we could go higher than that and be totally fine. I mean, if we went to 20,000, we are more than cutting it in half.
I have the stats.
We're like
35.
Yeah, mid 30s right now.
Yeah, so, and that's due to the license increase. Last year we were in the low 40s.
Yeah,
What's the total harvest for
200
non-residents?
Oh, I don't know that number.
That number honestly bothers me. I hear guys all the time. The Ohio residents are just mad because these guys are coming in and shooting all their deer. No, that's not what we're mad about. I don't care about that. We have plenty of deer. I'm not worried about the deer numbers. I'm not worried about you shooting a big deer. I'm worried about the access you're taking up. I'm worried about the residents you are displacing. The residents need to have a place to hunt. We're losing hunters every year, according to the DNR. And the number one reason for that is loss of access. People don't have a quality place to deer hunt, and they don't want to go and sit on, especially local public to hear, you're going to see more people than deer. Absolutely. You can't go deep. You can't get away. The deepest place to go is a half mile at most.
Yeah, we don't have the public, yeah.
Yep.
And so that's that. I would say the non-resident issue is probably the one that the majority of the residents would support. However, I think every year we see a large increase in people pushing to get rid of bait. That needle moves every single year. You go back to 2016, it was really ramping up. I didn't hear these conversations ever. I didn't talk to anybody that was like, we need to get rid of baiting. This is getting out of control. Like it wasn't happening. By 2018, there might have been a minute minority that was like, hey, this could be an issue. I don't know. I still wasn't hearing anything. But by 21, I started hearing stuff.
Kevin, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 26.
Do you? So you're a little bit younger than us, but not much.
A lot younger.
Those two are old. I'm 30, so we'll leave the old guys over there. But what I'm getting at is, was there ever a time when we were talking about
this last night? Yeah,
or last podcast, I should say. I don't remember when the transition was that baiting became acceptable, because when we started hunting. When we were in high school, which was only 10, for easy math, let's say 10 years ago, 15, 20 years maybe for the old guys. But when did that happen? When we were hunting in high school and even maybe in our early 20s, it was not acceptable to hunt over bait.
It was more of a...
And it was hush-hush.
Yeah.
Nobody, excuse me, nobody talked about it.
Right.
You're a little bit younger than us. You said you're 26. Do you, when you were being raised, was it socially acceptable to hunt over bait?
No,
or what?
not at all. I would tag along with Dad back in 2004 when I was, 5 years old, or 4 or 5 years old. And I shot my first deer when I was 7. And we never did anything like that. We never heard of anyone doing anything like that. And people talked down on it big time.
Yeah,
I remember one year we were actually in Florida for deer season. We had moved down there for 9 months. It was
hunted Florida?
No, didn't hunt Florida. We moved to Florida for about 9 months. It was over the 2008 crash, and Dad needed work. We moved to Florida, and me and him flew back to go on just a week-long deer camp with his buddies. And I was just a little kid, but I loved to hunt, and Dad was like, I can't leave him at home, so I'll take him with me. And I went along. I remember one of the guys, he was from Indiana, moved here when he was a kid, and he was like, I remember him saying something about there was another state that was baiting, and he's like, can you imagine how, like, you're not even hunting, you know, and that same guy now hunts over corn, and not, he doesn't want to, but he does. Like, everybody's feeding deer right now. But it's like it slowly became socially acceptable, and I use the analogy, like, that's why the Division of Wildlife or somebody needs to step in, stand up and say this needs to stop, because people aren't going to stop. People might want to stop, even if everybody wants to stop, nobody's going to stop because the neighbor might be doing it.
Right.
If they legalized hunting at night with thermal on rifles,
people would be doing it.
Slowly, people would start doing it. And then all of a sudden, the neighborhood buck gets shot at night with a thermal, and it was legal. You're like, next big buck that's around, like, I got to try it.
Right.
Like, he's going to get shot by somebody else doing it. And in 10 years from now, you try to take it away, people are going to get mad. And that's the exact situation we've caused.
Yeah.
You know,
I would agree, like, with the corn pile thing. Like, if the neighbor would shoot a big buck or a good buck over corn, well, I better do it then, because
100%.
he's going to get shot over there, so I might as well shoot him over here.
That's right. That's right.
So,
and that's what we hear all the time too. One of my friends this year was like, I refuse. I'm not putting any feed out. Like, I'm not feeding at all. And he literally, it cost him a deer this year, like 100%. He had a buck he could have killed had he fed like he does every other year. And instead, he said he had cameras, so he would just feed in the center of the property. And he'd run his cameras on scrapes and on pinch points and whatnot, and he'd get tons of pictures. And he said he was literally going 4 days with no pictures, like 4 days between pictures of deer. And it's because they're just getting pulled off. It's a permission property. All the neighbors are feeding, and it's just, they're just getting pulled off. And that's what you're going to see. And that's why, like, guys are like, you know, aren't you worried about the little guy? Like, if you take baiting away, you're just going to turn it into a pay-to-play. Like, no, baiting is turning it into pay-to-play.
Yeah.
If you can't afford feed, you're cooked. Like, it's that simple. Like, your opportunity is taken away if you cannot afford to feed the deer. Like, it's that simple.
I know, I don't think I mentioned this on the podcast, but I mentioned it in our group chat. Going down the road from my work, there was a farm that sold, so all farm field, and it was sectioned off in like 3 or 4 sections. And there's one section that's from the road, it looks like maybe half of an acre. They let it grow up into CRP. It's got a box blind on it. I guarantee there's a corn pile there or something there, because, like, there's no woods anywhere around. Not to say deer need woods all the time, but, like, nothing's drawing them to this section of the middle of the field,
right,
other than a corn pile.
Yep.
And it's just like, you see that all the time. There'll be a box blind or something, and then a feeder right there. And it's just like, you can't drive anywhere in Ohio and not see multiple of those.
I feel
100%. I feel attacked.
No, we can't see yours from the road.
No, you got to drive back in.
Yeah.
It is one of those that, like, I started in high school. I didn't have anybody in, like, my grandpa used to hunt years ago. Not deer. He was always a rabbit hunter. Had a 410. Like, that's what he did. Then it got to my brother turning 18, and it was like, we got to go hunt. And he went and bought a shotgun. So then I was hooked. But, like, the first time we went out, it was, let's pop up a little $50 blind. Let's sit out in the middle of the woods and see what happens.
Well, hold on. Here's a great question for you. You were not raised in a hunting household.
No.
Your brother was not raised in a hunting household. When he turned 18, he's like, little bro, we're going hunting.
Yeah.
You guys had you were blessed enough to have some access to some ground that was in a good area.
Yep.
How did the corn thing happen for you guys?
It was
like, who told your brother to put out corn? Because, like, he wouldn't.
I don't know. Like, it happened so, like, easily. Like, it just
that was just like your earliest memory of hunting is just like, we put corn out, we hunt over it.
Well, I mean, I was 16.
Well,
so
yeah.
It was one of those, like, in high or 14.
And I'm not downplaying you. I'm more curious to figure out, like, when was this transition of, like, it's now okay to hunt over corn.
So it was a slow transition into everything. It was like the first thing we did was we bought. Well, this might have been the problem. We shopped Walmart for everything. So the first set of bibs I had were like garbage Walmart bibs. Like
you could feel the wind blow through them. And,
and it was like, well, clearly that's not helping at all.
Yeah.
But it looked cool. So we'd buy everything there. Well, every time and every year something would change. We'd go get a $30 trail camera. We'd put it up and you'd have, I don't know, like a 4 megapixel camera. This thing was taken.
Yeah.
Is way worse
like
than
a potato took the photo.
Way worse than my Tacticams. that I already get blamed for that are bad. But like, it started there and it kind of transitioned into something else. And it was like, oh, great, we've got cameras up. We're not getting any pictures. And then it transitioned to, oh, well, they're selling corn. It literally says deer corn. I mean, it says deer corn. You got to buy that, right? But before corn, it started with like, we'd get the jug of like syrup
The deer
looking
cane,
stuff.
yeah.
The buck jam.
Oh,
Buck
dude.
jam, yeah.
Dude, and then it migrated to apple like molasses
Crush,
corn.
yeah.
Oh, so good. You'd dump that stuff out and you'd be like smelling it. Like,
Yeah.
well, can I eat this?
Like Lucky Buck, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how it transitioned. Now it transitioned to I don't have enough time, and that's probably part of it. I don't have enough time to actually go out, play the part of paying attention to the land, making sure I know all of the areas they're coming from, where's the bedding area, where are they truly feeding. Now you're playing the game of, are they feeding at a corn pile somewhere?
Mine or the neighbors.
And yeah, so it shifted, and I'm like, well, this past year we went and got gravity feeders, and now we're playing that game because everybody's playing that game. I can't feed them enough, and when a week goes by and I run out,
They're gone.
they're going somewhere else.
Yep.
So now you got to compete with that and try and keep up. So I don't know. It was a slow transition, but I would say within the first 3 or 4 years, we were putting corn out.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
I think I don't have anything to back this up, but I have a theory on it, and I think that, so I'm trying to remember what year it was, but I was talking with some guys that used to be a part of QDMA, Quality Deer Management, and when that came to Ohio, I want to say it was like that 2010 era, something like that, and it slowly gained traction, and they felt like, after talking to them, they felt pretty confident that as that QDMA thing took hold and more people started targeting big deer. Obviously, QDMA had good intentions. They were trying to educate people and show people, like, you can
Do
let them
this
go.
to
Yeah,
get that.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. But what it created was just a hunger for big antlers. And then a guy was like, well, I got to put corn out to try to get an advantage over my neighbor. And then that escalated very quickly. And now, I mean, it's like you guys said. I mean, you drive around the wintertime. It's
Dude,
like,
It's sickening.
disgusting.
it's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
It's
Especially when you
disgusting.
can see Kevin's from the road. Oh, did I just call you out?
That's fine. It didn't produce anything.
I had something that I wanted to ask. Oh, so Kevin, maybe you could do a better job explaining this to the listeners, or maybe even to us. I remember when this started, like when all of this, we'll call it like pot stirring, happened, a couple of years back, like when it kind of went mainstream on, like, pointing fingers at crossbow hunters, pointing fingers at bait hunters, etc., like non-residents. Can you get a little bit more in depth on like the displacement issue when it comes to like corn and crossbows and stuff like that? Because I know, and like we know, we're very passionate about it. We're sitting here, we're trying to defend the resource, but like why, if Big Brother is listening to this podcast, and if there is somebody listening to this podcast that maybe has a say in what's going on, like, what can we tell them about why the resource is going on the downhill slide very quickly because of all of these liberal laws that are getting put into place?
Well, it's pretty simple, and they know. We've had private conversations with these guys, and they know they've created a monster. But what's happening now is you've got out of control doe numbers. There are so many antlerless deer,
And let's just talk about that real quick. So because of corn piles, because of cell cameras, guys are now they're seeing, okay, I've got this beautiful 140, 150, 160 inch deer coming to my corn pile every night. I'm not going to shoot that doe that comes in
100%.
because there's a chance that I can shoot that buck.
Once it gets cold, he might daylight, but if
Yeah.
I shoot that doe, I'm screwing everything up.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay, I just wanted to
100%.
clarify, so if anybody's listening, like that's what we're talking about.
Yep. So you've created a selective killing machine. We're more effective than we've ever been, but we're also more selective than we've ever been. And what we've created is, like, we're actually, like, this year we killed a very good number of deer. Like, if you just look at the deer harvest, the issue is our percentages of buck harvest versus doe harvest is way out of proportion. It's not even close. I was actually just talking with Mike Rex about this last night at the Wildlife Council after the Wildlife Council meeting. And he said that is probably the thing that scares him most about what we've created is when you are killing as many bucks as we're killing in Ohio, we're breaking our buck harvest record almost every year. 4 years in a row, we've broken our buck harvest record.
I mean, it's almost like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty close to 1-to-1.
I have the stats.
Yeah, pull those up. But that is a big issue because we're not managing the deer numbers through bucks. All you're doing is taking a trophy. The way to manage the deer numbers is obviously shooting the antlerless deer. One bull can breed 10 cows. One buck can breed 10 does. But if you start taking away those does, that's how you reduce the population. And we're just basically high grading all of the trophy class bucks, whether they're 3-year-olds or they're 6-year-olds. You're taking the best ones out. You're leaving the worst ones to grow and breed. And on top of that, you are just letting the doe numbers go crazy. I think a lot of this stuff ties right into that with the new technologies, like you mentioned, the cell cameras. The cell cameras are huge. The corn piles are massive on this because guys think they can just shoot a doe whenever they want to, and then they never get it done. That's actually why I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but if you bought a management permit for $15, it expired before the season ended. It expired at the end of the extended gun season. They do that for a reason because they say they see a spike. Right before that ends, they see a spike, and they purposely do it before the season ends so that guys get out there and get a doe shot before the season ends, and then if they end up having either sex tag left, they might end up filling that with a doe as well.
That makes sense. I always thought it was maybe because they thought it was less of like shed bucks got shot.
Yeah, no, Mike was telling me last night they did that literally. He argued that and got that put into place just so people shoot does. He said their highest harvest rates are when a season ends and when a season begins. So the one thing that he was really wanting to do is actually break up the beginning of the season. So start it for 3 days and then shut it down for 3 days and then back on for 3 days and then off for 3 days. And every time that season kicks back off or is about to kick back,
be a spike.
Yep, it'll spike every time.
Interesting.
And so they're trying to figure out ways to incentivize guys to shoot does. But ultimately what's happened is we've created a situation where it is so easy to kill a doe, they've lost all value. There's no value left. It's just simply now I have to deal with it.
Well, it's almost like and I hate to sound like this, but I'm going to speak honestly. Like it's almost like a hassle when you shoot a doe because, we just talked about it. We're all young men with families. We've got jobs, businesses that we're running. Like we're trying to make money. We're trying to hunt. We got this podcast. Like, you shoot a doe. Especially when weather's not good for hanging.
You got to deal with her
now.
Right
You got
now.
to deal with her now. And if you don't have time to deal with her, it's like, okay, I may quarter her real quick, put her on ice and take her to the local butcher shop. But then you're spending $100, $200 in processing fees. And it's like, and a lot of guys, maybe that $200 is a lot of money to somebody, which, it is. $200 is a lot of money. So it's like, they
don't want to sacrifice.
You've already got the wife kind of mad at you because you're hunting all the time, and now it's like, well, honey, I got to go spend $200 to get this deer cut up, and it's like, we can go to the store and get steak, and it's like, why would? So like I, to validate your point, I almost agree with you that, unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit this, it's almost a nuisance shooting a doe anymore, and I don't know what the fix would be. I mean, we're in a bad spot because I unless you guys have opinions, I don't know what the fix would be other than like, and I already know that there's local shops that butcher shops that are like take them on donation and stuff like that. But man, it's tough to.
And we are very fortunate that locally we have those options because there's a lot of areas where like if you shoot it, like you're not donated, you can't donate it, like nobody takes them. So that's a huge blessing locally, and for me, I usually fill all my does. I love shooting deer, man. Like I love chasing big deer, but I love pulling the trigger. Like I just
trigger man.
Oh man,
Jared,
I shot a doe on November 6th this year. I just couldn't help myself. She came in 15 yards. I'm like, oh dude, I couldn't help myself. I like to shoot them.
Jerry would be with you.
It's so fun, and trust, like I'm a diehard big buck. Like I love finding one specific deer, chasing that deer. But man, when big old Nanny comes in at 15 yards, you gotta let him have it.
Especially when she gives you the old head bob a couple of times, or does the old foot stomp, and you're like, oh, one more stomp.
Here we go.
And then with that, I think another thing that's feeding that issue, the antlerless issue, is you've got no does being shot on these outfitter properties. Literally zero. I've talked to guys I talked to one guy who's I think he's in Coshocton maybe, and he's surrounded on 3 sides by an outfitter, and he said he had a big rye field, and it had 80 does in it and not a single buck.
Wow.
And it's like the bucks are just getting slaughtered. And long term, that is a big issue. Obviously not from a population standpoint, but not for hunters with a population standpoint, but it's a big issue for quality of any kind, or really bucks. I mean, realistically, like if I'm just talking blatantly honestly here, what we're looking at is turning this thing into a Michigan. In reality, like that's where it's headed. And
well, let me just run the stats real quick because I think it's appropriate to talk about it. And honestly, with button buck harvest, we actually did harvest more bucks than does in Ohio this year, which is not good for anybody listening. So does, 111. We'll round for easy numbers. 112,000 does were harvested. 96,000 bucks. So then you're 112 does. 96,000 bucks. You're like, oh, we're not bad, but here's the kicker. Button bucks, 21,000. So we got to add on top of that 96. You got to add 21,000, which obviously gets us a little bit higher than our doe harvest.
Yep.
And then there was also antlered bucks less than 3 inches was just under 3,000. So,
hey, well, I mean, I hunt over corn 100% of the time. I will totally admit that. But I did my service this year. I shot 2 3.5, 4-year-old deer. They were both does.
Dude, heck
So no big
Love
deal.
it.
I mean, you guys just over here shooting bucks.
See, I'm part of the problem. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And this isn't an excuse. Sometimes when life gets I'll explain to you, Kevin, because you don't know who I am or what was going on. I had my first daughter this year. She's 7 months old. So the old wife, is in this year saying like, I support you, but we have a daughter. You can't be chasing Bambi 24/7. So I filled 3 buck tags this year.
Not all in Ohio.
Let's clarify.
I appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, obviously not in Ohio. Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. Didn't fill a single doe tag, which is bad. And I'm sitting here saying that I know that I'm part of the problem because I only hunted, let's say 3 weeks for easy math and killed 3 bucks, but I never shot a doe. And I guess I don't know where I'm getting at this. Is it's just like, well, that's the majority. I know that I'm the problem.
Yeah, well, that's the majority of people. You're limited on time. You don't want to spend the time messing with a doe. And I think if we would kind of increase the challenge of shooting a doe, that would bring some of it back maybe. But the big thing I see as well is I spoke to a farmer in Coshocton County, loaded with deer. He's got over 2,000 acres, and it's all leased by non-residents. They come hunt 1 week out of the year, and they don't shoot does.
Do they fly into the local airport?
I don't know. I didn't ask him that.
Okay.
I'm
familiar with the area, and that's common.
Really?
And that was a story I heard in Coshocton. It was a
wait. Rewind. That these non-residents are flying into Coshocton Airport.
It's smaller than Smithville Airport. Okay, it is tiny, and you see this private plane fly in, and then they'll be there for a few days, and they'll fly back out.
Wow.
And they're spending and that's it. I forget where they're from. Somebody local down there told me that's where my parents are from. And you see it happen, that private passenger planes are coming in. But it's one of those that they were spending like $10,000 for the week. That's not for the season. That's for the week to come out and hunt a farm.
I wouldn't even want to know.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is you got locked up access, and no does being shot, and then a farmer that's mad because he's got too many deer, and it's like, man, 2 + 2 = 4. Like, look at it. You can, and.
But unfortunately, in one hand, he's getting $10,000 for easy math.
Yep.
And then the other hand, he's like, I got all this crop damage, but I'm getting $10,000.
The kicker here is though he now he is going to start utilizing nuisance tags.
Yep.
Because last year he told me, and I don't know how this math even makes sense, but he told me he has over $100,000 in crop damage. And if that's the case, like, buddy, your lease ain't paying off.
No.
Like,
Right.
get some resident hunters in there that will shoot does. Incentivize them to shoot does. As the landowner, incentivize them to shoot does. Make it earn a buck property.
Yeah.
Like, you have to show me a doe before you shoot a buck.
What are your thoughts on earn a buck in general?
I like the idea. I don't think it would be super successful here just with our online tagging system. I mean, people could just...
You think people just lie?
Yep.
Buy a $15
Yep.
tag. Yep, I shot a doe.
Yep, 100%. Then it just jades your numbers, and you think you're doing good, and it's really still going downhill. And another thing, just a quick, the thing that I've been hearing a lot of is I think Tennessee just went to a baiting license. You have to buy a baiting license
or something. Yeah.
I personally super against that. Terrible idea. All you're doing is monetizing the bait to the state, and then it'll never go away. Like, you're just locking it.
Because they're going to see how much more money
Yep.
they can
Revenue,
get in.
yeah.
It's creating a revenue stream for the state at that point.
Oh, 100%.
Not just. I mean, if you, I want a statistic because data's got to be out there somewhere of how much corn was purchased during the hunting months.
Oh, you don't even want to know.
I kind of do. It's millions. I mean, you've got a multi-million-dollar business.
I will say
in
one
bait.
thing. Because I work in the, let's just call it ag.
Yeah.
We installed a flex auger on a gravity bin for a farmer who was bagging shelled corn as a side business. And I was just talking to him in general because, like, obviously I hunt, and I'm like, so what, like, you make a lot of money doing this, like, because like the system that he put in was a fairly nice system, and let's just say that old boy told me that he made off of just his corn close to 6 figures.
Oh, I believe it for sure.
Off of
100%.
off of one deer season.
Yep.
That doesn't surprise me, though.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me a bit.
No.
I mean, I don't like baiting. I don't like feeding. I don't like any of it. In reality, like, I like a healthy deer herd, but I'm not really. I mean, like, I'm fine with mineral. I'm fine with trying to build them up that way. But, like, as far as in season, like, I don't love it. But I know what I spend a year just trying to keep deer alive.
I have
It's
a 300
insane.
pound feeder, so I have a small property that I own as well. I feed, and I do it because defensive feeding is what I call
Defensive
it.
baiting,
Yeah.
feeding. Yep.
So, like, I'm feeding year round, and trust me, I pallets.
It's wild.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I know.
There's one thing real quick. Back to your making it, you have to shoot so many does or whatever. There was a property about 5 or 6 years ago that I hunted with a buddy. Well, he hunted because he drove the Amish to this property.
Yep.
They were given access to a property because a local business kind of a thing. And they were mandatory. They had to take 80 does off of that property.
Wow.
It was like 1,700 acres, something like that. They had to take 80 does off the property or they lost it for the next year.
Wow. That's
a lot.
So-
Holy cow.
So it's they were allowed to shoot bucks. They were allowed to do whatever, but at a minimum, 80 does.
So it
had
doesn't
to
matter
be
who you
tagged.
bring in. It's
They-
just bring family, bring friends. You just have to kill 80
No,
does.
it was that business. So they could only the employees could hunt. There were like
Oh, gotcha.
70 or 80. They were all, I'm pretty sure they were all Amish. So majority of them hunted, but they had to harvest 80 does off the property or they lost the lease for the next year.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And
Unreal.
but it was one of those that like they had a problem.
Yeah.
And they had a problem with deer, and they were losing crops, and a lot of it was farm field. And they made it, hey, we're not going to charge you that much, and this is a cool company perk that you guys did, but we're going to require an amount of does that you have to take off this property, or we're going to lease it to somebody else.
So, one of the things that scares me the most about the doe numbers, and Kevin, if you've heard any kind of whispers, because I do want you to talk a little bit about your meetings and stuff like that. And maybe we'll dive into that after I bring up this point. We have to have enough common sense to realize that if the state wants X amount of deer killed, and we as hunters are not killing that amount of deer, like, we have to realize, and we have to be smart enough to realize that they will take it upon themselves to either poison or sharpshooters or etc. And like, we can't let that happen. And I don't know what the answer is, but like, that scares the crap out of me, because you know that, and I don't know, insurance companies, Farm Bureau, I don't know how much of a pool they actually have, because some people say they don't, some people say they do. But at the end of the day, like, how real do you think that is in the future?
I think it's very real. I think it's very, very real. I mean, just seeing how the CWD surveillance zone is handled. I mean, those guys are still hunting. There's people still hunting.
They just tell them to shoot every deer they see.
Yeah,
right?
well, they have tags good through March in those counties, and they were doing sharpshooting, all kinds of stuff down there. And there's cities up north that are currently have sharpshooters in them taking out deer. So it's real. I mean, it's not only in the future; it's right now. And I think one of the big prohibitors from us being able to manage the population as hunters, manage the deer population as hunters, is access. Like, a lot of these cities that are bringing sharpshooters in don't allow people to hunt.
Yeah, non-projectile.
And you're going to have the same thing in the ag lands. If a big property is locked up by one guy, he's got limited doe tags. And we're going to start seeing the same things in those big ag areas, or whether it's down in southeastern Ohio, which obviously that'll be a while. EHD just hit, but like in the areas where land is locked up, there's going to be a problem, and the state's going to fix it. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt.
I mean, they have to, right? Like,
yeah,
they have
definitely.
to.
Yeah. And to the insurance companies thing, I think they have very little. I think they could have a big say so, but they're not very involved in anything.
Okay.
We've never ran into them. There's been stakeholder meetings held by the Division of Wildlife to bring in the Farm Bureau and hunters and insurance companies and all these different. There was like 10 different groups represented at these stakeholder meetings, and the insurance companies that were invited literally didn't even show up. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't care. However, the Farm Bureau they swing a big hammer. They are very, very powerful, and they have their hands in everything.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
So my thought on the insurance company, I mean, obviously they don't want to pay out claims for car accidents, but premiums go up.
Right.
So like a deer getting hit doesn't really matter, because everybody's premium goes up then,
exactly.
and it's just more money in their pockets then at that point. So
that's a valid point.
Yeah. I think obviously they don't love deer collisions, but at the same time, like you said, I mean, areas where there's high deer densities, they're just going to raise the rates.
Everybody's rates up in that area.
Yeah, and they honestly probably come out on top.
They of course they do. They're insurance companies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they don't lose money.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. Lo and behold, might work for one anyway.
So, where are we at, Kev? Just so I know, kind of.
Just under an hour.
Because I like to ramble. You got time, Kevin? Or you got places to be?
I'm good. Okay. I'm good.
So obviously we kind of rambled a little bit about our thoughts and concerns, and kind of like what with your brand. What is your guys' mission on telling people, like, let's unite hunters, and let's, like, what would if somebody listening to this wants to take action, what is there to do?
There's a couple things. First off, look up our website. Write into us. We have a contact us section. Write into us. That'll go to my inbox. I'll reply to your email. And we need hands on deck. We need people to help us, whether it's running trade shows, whether it's showing up at council meetings, whether it's whatever. We need help, even planning events. And this is something we're really working on. We've made some great new connections just recently that have bigger connections. And our goal right now is what kind of the vision is and what we're working on.
Can you get a little bit into that or not?
Yeah, 100%. Wait, with what?
The connections?
Oh, yeah. It's like guys, some well-known guys like Chad Sylvester, Steve Pinkston. I think Justin Hollinsworth is very much on board. Mm-hmm. It's guys like that we're trying to – we're going to try to create centers of influence throughout the states in different parts. A lot of these guys are spread out. And create centers of influence in different parts of the state, and even just within our own local area, have guys that are like, hey, create a text list of 10 guys, And these guys with like our centers of influence will be posting it. And basically our goal is to create a call to action button on our website where it does all this for you. You basically click the call to action button and it uses your location to find your state rep, and it creates an email for you, everything ready to send with 2 clicks, like you're sending an email to your state rep. In the meantime, while we're working on that stuff and we're going to get it worked out, well, I'm pretty excited with the upcoming election. So Ohio, this is an election year for Ohio. We'll have a new governor. We'll have a new administration. Everything's new. And when these fresh people come in, and basically what we're working towards, elections in November, we want to be set up with a call to action button that's super simple for everybody, easy to use, 2 clicks, and you're hammering your state reps with emails. Emails go to the Division of Wildlife. But our goal is as these new fresh blood comes in, they feel the pressure, they feel the built-up tension amongst the hunters right away. This is an issue that's not come up through their term. It's like we showed up and whoa, this is a mess. We got to do something
deal
about
with
this.
Yeah.
So basically, we're talking to Chad Sylvester. He's got connections with guys like Mark Kenyon and some of those guys that have dealt with this stuff on like a national level. Yeah. And they're at the White House all the time. They have lobbyists doing all the same stuff we are, but they're doing it on a much larger level, and they've been very effective. These are kind of the tactics that they use and that we're going to try to start mirroring. Is the state reps need to be pounded. These guys don't hear from hunters. They barely hear from the public, let alone hunters. And when they get 5 emails on the same thing, they start squirming.
So is Mike a state rep?
Mike Rex?
Yeah.
No, he is just on he's the chairman of the Wildlife Council within the Division of Wildlife.
Okay.
So basically, him and the Wildlife Council, they just vote on proposed rule changes or regulation changes within the Division of Wildlife. He's not.
But they have no say, right? They like that. They just vote on what gets passed on.
So let's say, for instance, a regulation change this year. They wanted to drop the deer permits or the county quotas, whatever you want to call it, to one deer in southeastern Ohio in a couple counties.
Okay.
So that gets proposed from the Division of Wildlife. So essentially from the chief of the Division of Wildlife proposes that to the Wildlife Council, and they vote yay or nay on it and vote it into place or down, basically. And that's that. But that is just the regulation. So if we are
but it still has to be approved by the state, correct?
No.
But
that is the rules and regulations. Those aren't law. Like they're rules and regulations we have to follow, and they're prosecutable and all that. But they're not legislation. They're not a bill. So if we're contacting them, they would be working on the regulation side, the little book you get or the app, the wildlife app.
Yep.
That's your rules and regulations. Then if we're contacting our state reps, they would, if we were to basically create the change through them, it would go through legislator, it would become a bill, and it would be state law. That at that point, the Division of Wildlife, they are not a fan of us having lobbyists, of us talking to state reps, because it takes the control away from them, which I myself am not a huge fan of. I want our Division of Wildlife managing our resource.
To see the issue and come up with
Exactly. The issue is they are all appointed by higher ups. Everybody within the Division of Wildlife is appointed by someone for the most part, namely the governor for the majority of them. So if the governor appoints someone and that person screws up and does something the governor doesn't like, you're fired. Or if they do something and the public didn't like it, you're fired. So they all have to be super careful, not only what they do, but what they say. State reps are voted in. So the governor can't just hire or fire that guy. They're voted into position by their county, and they hold their position as long as their county supports them. So when they have people from their county reaching out to them saying, hey, this sucks, we don't like this, they get squirmy because we all know some of these counties don't have high populations at all. And when they get reached out to by 5 people, they're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So our goal is with these centers of influence and people across the state, have 10 people that you're going to text this link to and say, hey, hit this call to action button. It'll send an email to your state rep. It'll, this whole thing. If we can have 10 guys that each have 10 guys, it's 1,000 guys. And we can do that all across the state. And then you have these big centers of influence that are posting about it. You have hopefully Iowa Whitetail Skip Sly posting about it, us posting about it, and create an actual movement. What we've been working on up to this point is we've been creating relationships with state reps and legislators and the Division of Wildlife, and we try to be always keep it respectful. We don't try to get angry. We don't try to shove it down anybody's throats. We just try to show them our side of the story, show them our point of view, and we do the same thing with the public. Try to have these conversations and educate people. Like, explain why. Like, dude, I don't care how you hunt. That's not what I'm after. But another thing that, like, then we could get down a whole rabbit hole, but like, this is not our hunting heritage. Like 10, 15 years ago, we weren't doing this. This is new. Like, it's brand new. And so, but anyway, back to creating a difference. In the meantime, we're going to work on getting all that stuff up, and I'm going to try to blast it everywhere once we are set up. You guys can keep checking our website. That's huntersadvocateofohio.org. Check our website.
And we'll have that linked.
But in the meantime, look up your state rep. It's not hard to find. Figure out who your state rep is. Send them an email. Send them an email. Go on ODNR website. Send Chief Kendra Wecker an email. Send the Wildlife Council emails. If you guys start sending these emails, they start talking about it. We still have a group, our core group of 300 guys that are calling and emailing the Division of Wildlife constantly.
Maybe we need to be on that list.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Kev is no stranger.
Yeah.
Mr. Mike Lee.
Old Mike Lee. I still talk to him every now and then just because, like, hey, I want you to be heard. Like, can't be selling these public lands.
Hey, you still leave him a message?
Yeah.
Dude,
Voicemails?
Kevin said
dude, all the time.
Today in our Snapchat group, Kevin had a screen recording of him messaging him on Instagram, telling him
over his I forget what his thing was, but health conscious. And I said, I like to be healthy and walk on my public lands. Don't sell them. I know he's not the guy in charge of his Instagram page, but somebody's going to see it.
Yeah. But I mean, you were calling the office daily.
Dude, you and Jarrett put in like 100 calls within an hour.
When they had that issue going on, me and Jarrett were calling 4 or 5 times going to work. On the way home, on lunch break,
Kevin would send
during work hours.
Snapchats of him at lunch, just like talking to Mike Lee's receptionist.
And the best part is, it wasn't like you just called. You left a message every single day.
Did he ever get back with you?
No.
Yeah, I figured he wouldn't.
But it helps,
100%.
calls, emails, everything.
It makes a big difference. I'm telling you. It was actually crazy. So we started doing just like small meetings. Guys would have us come out to their property, and they'd invite 60 guys, and we'd just talk about this stuff. We'd like stand up there, just kind of do a quick rundown of why we're doing this. And that was, I'm trying to think, that would have been 2 years ago, I think. We had just started. And by middle, I think it was been like middle of the spring, early spring, they had a public open house at one of the Division of Wildlife offices, and I showed up. Nobody else was there. It looked like, it was a ghost town. Nobody else was there. I showed up. I walked in. I had a little quarter zip on, said Hunter's Advocate on it, and the guy that came up to greet me, welcome in. I asked him, I was like, what's going on with, like, there's nobody here. It's supposed to be a public open house. And he was like, oh, dude, he said, we don't even set up for him anymore. Nobody shows up. Like, nobody shows up. So our goal is to educate people on this stuff. Like, we're gonna start listing on our website, throwing it up on our social medias. Hey, public open house coming up. Go talk to him. Go talk to him. Tell him how you feel. Just with, like, we had just started like 3 weeks before that, and had done a couple of events, and people were calling Division of Wildlife. I showed up at a random district, and he looked at my quarter zip, and he's like, oh, I know who you are. He's like, we've been getting all kinds of calls and emails. And it's like, that's the goal. Like, that's the whole goal. And I think that's the big call to action right now, is just like, guys, hit up your state reps. Like, they will get your email. They will hear you out. Like, I promise you they will. You're voting them in or out.
Right.
And it's a big deal to them. And the other thing, like, we've had a lot of people reach out and like want to support financially, and that's great. Like, we appreciate it. We have lobbyists in place. They help us a ton with, they get us into the state house. They set up meetings with state reps. We have face-to-faces with state reps through them. And they're awesome. But as far as from the finances standpoint, we just try to keep them paid. That's all. That's the only money we raise goes right to them. We raise enough to pay them every year, and that's literally all the money we're raising. So we don't have that huge of a need financially. It's more, we need hands on deck. We're all young married, have young children, work full-time jobs, or run our own little small companies or businesses, whatever. Like we're super busy, and we're trying to make time to go to these Division of Wildlife meetings. We're trying to make time to go meet with state reps, and we're trying to set up events. Every fall we do our big banquet, and like all this stuff goes on. It takes so much time and work and energy, and then we're trying to hunt on top of it.
Right.
And our busiest time of year with the Hunters Advocate stuff happens to be through the fall. So the more hands we can get on deck, and the more people that can jump in and actually go to these meetings with us, have these conversations, you quickly realize like where we're at, and then guys can take it on, like keep on going with it. And so I'm really excited with where we're going. I feel like we're really setting up for this next year to be very impactful, with it being election year, new administrations coming in, and we have to get our stuff organized on our website to where guys can just hit that call to action button. Because I know it's so hard. Like even me with like, I'm all about this stuff. When those public land stuff comes up, I'm like, man, like I have to take the time and do it. But if it wasn't for the stuff I was doing on the Hunters Advocate side, I don't know that I would take the time and reach out to the senators and stuff. I just see how important it is now, but it's like if it's not super simple, a lot of guys don't do it. So that's the big thing that we're trying to create. But in the meantime, you can literally do what we're going to be trying to make easier for you. It's not that hard. Just look up, hey, I'm in Wayne County. Who is my state rep? Meredith Craig. Boom. There's Meredith Craig's email right there. I mean, it'll literally pop up when you Google her. Her email will pop up. You click it, copy, paste it, send her a quick email. It's that simple. Or call her office. Her secretary will answer the phone, or you leave a voicemail. It's that simple.
I know what I'm doing this week.
There you go. I want it on your lunchtime tomorrow.
Well, there'll be a couple.
How many of these state reps do you know by name, by county, off the top of your head?
Not many. I know our county. I know our county. I've met quite a few of them. I know the wildlife committee within the Division of Wildlife. I'm trying to even remember their names. The chairman is Chair Jones.
How long have you been doing this?
We've been doing this for about 2 years. I would say we really got into the state rep side of it a lot more recently.
Gotcha.
Our first quite a while was just spent talking to the Division of Wildlife. I know those people really well.
Yep.
Chief Kendra Wecker.
Do they smile when they see you coming, or do they turn a cheek?
No, actually, they're pretty open. Like they like to talk. Like, or seemingly they act like they like to talk. I don't think Mike Rex loves to talk to me. But a lot of the others, like we genuinely have really good conversations.
Okay.
There's a lot more, I would say, a lot more friction, a lot more conflict when we talk to Mike. And I mean, I believe that Mike is a very intelligent guy. And I believe that Mike, I think, has good intentions. I think. But I would say he probably does not like to see us coming for the most part, but like the chief, like we have a great relationship. We've had great private meetings, public meetings. She always shake her hand. She always is, hi, happy to see you, all that type of thing. And you'd be amazed at the amount of DNR staff that is like in the back, like, whispering in our ear, guys, keep going. Like this will work. Like keep on going. Don't stop. There's so many people that are like,
that's cool.
That's got to be reassuring too.
Oh, it is. It's amazing. And honestly, like that gets me fired up. Just last night at the council meeting, we used open forum to kind of speak on this stuff. And as soon as it was over, the gentleman I was sitting next to was Division of Wildlife staff. And as he could just kind of walk past, he's like, keep on doing this. Like you're getting somewhere. Just keep going. And he just kept on moving. Like they don't want to be seen doing it, but they are all about it.
Can you talk a little? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I was just going to say another great guy, Paul Meckling. He's up in Ashtabula County. This dude, he's actually a retired veterinarian, and he is so knowledgeable and like he's awesome. He's just fantastic. If you guys ever get the chance to meet him or reach out to him, do that. Call him. You can look him up, call him, talk to him, leave him voicemails, send him emails, because he will be happy to report your guys' complaints to the chief. He'll be tickled to do it.
So just so the people listening, like when you call these people, you're just going to express your concerns, maybe some positives, negatives, et cetera. Anything else that, if we're telling the listeners to go and call these people, like what should they say to their reps?
I would say, hey, I am, Kevin from this county. I've been deer hunting for this amount of time. Speak of what you saw throughout the season and like how your experience is either increasing or declining, and hey, I would like to see some changes. I mean, you would have a better
100%. I mean, I just tell them how you feel. Tell them, what you're experiencing. Hey, whether it's you're losing access or you're struggling with I can't afford to feed or whatever you are struggling, like be personable. Tell them your exact situation. They are normal people just like us. When that's something I really struggled with, especially early on, was like getting nervous, like even just on a phone call, like what am I going to say? What am I going to say? Dude, they're normal people, especially these wildlife council members. A lot of them are hunters. They're good guys, and just have normal dialogue with them. Tell them, hey, like, I can't find a property to hunt. I've knocked on this many doors and I can't find a property to hunt. I think it's due to baiting. Or, hey, this baiting stuff is really bad for our wildlife health. We want to see it gone. Or, this baiting has just created a neighborhood competition. We're all just seeing who can throw the most feed, and I'm tired of it. Like, I want it gone. Like, tell them how you feel. Like, I always encourage people, be respectful. Like, be super respectful. But I've heard so many guys come up to me like, yeah, so-and-so called down and was like, giving them all kinds of crap about the baiting stuff. And like, that's awesome. But try to be respectful.
Cordial.
Yeah.
Like, 100%.
That goes a lot farther.
Yeah. Nobody's going to get anything done acting like a bull in a china shop. It's just not going to work. They're just going to write you off like, oh, that guy's an insane idiot or whatever. So be respectful. But just, tell them whatever you're experiencing. And like, seriously, like they will listen. And a lot of them are within the Division of Wildlife or hunters. And on the email side of the state reps, we're going to try to put out a kind of a generic email. Feel free to change a few words and whatever, but we're going to try to put a generic email together. And honestly, these people know, like we've had private meetings with them where we sit down with our lobbyists and them and we just talk about these issues. Like we just literally sit there and talk for a couple hours, and they know they have a problem. Like they know it's not perfect. They know the baiting sucks. The biggest thing is they need to push to make a move. Like they don't want to make a move that they think nobody wants. So if they hear from you and you want it gone, it'll just like they know. The one guy said to me literally at a private meeting, Chief is sitting across from me and two other guys. I won't mention names just for the reason of one of them said, we have a monster. We know we've created a monster. And I've also heard that from deer biologists across the state, not necessarily our state deer biologists, but deer biologists across the state. Like this thing should have been locked up before it ever got out of the pen. It didn't. Now we have a mess, and we're just not quite sure yet how to clean it up. I kind of believe that the CWD surveillance zone growing every year could be part of their solution. But in reality, it's a slow, long process, and we need to stop this thing before we bleed out.
What did did you have anything? Sorry. What did yesterday's meeting look like? I've never been to one, and we should probably change that one of these days. We should probably show up and see what they're about.
I'll send you guys an invite to the next one, just so you know when it is.
Yeah,
please do.
And for any listeners, I know the next one's February 25th. It's on a Wednesday. I am going to be trying to get my butt home from Florida to be there to speak at the open forum. But yeah, February 25th. Is the podcast going to be out by then? Because I know there's another one in March then as well.
This one will be out on the 25th, I think, unless we bump something around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, February 25th. The next one's in March. They're always on a Wednesday. You can go if you type in.
Is it once a month?
Yeah, it's once a month. This month they happened to do two of them because last month's got bumped to this month due to the snowstorm we had last week or 2 weeks ago. But if you just look up Ohio Wildlife Council, the council will pop up. Then you scroll down to the bottom. It'll say public events and meetings. You click on that, and it'll give you a whole calendar of when.
Where are they
when
typically at?
They're down in Columbus. The address is 1500 Dublin Road.
Dublin.
And it's a big. You'll see it. They have a big District 1 sign. It's at the District 1 headquarters.
Interesting.
Might have to show up.
No, I think we did. I think
We'll have
we
to
need
reschedule
to,
podcast and just show up.
Yeah, because we sit here and talk about it, but action needs to be. I think we need to show up.
Man,
So,
I'd love to see you guys there.
No, we'll be there.
Yeah.
You have our word. I don't know which one, but yeah, we'll rearrange because we're scheduled out until the middle of March right now on podcast. But we'll figure something out. we'll figure something
Well,
out.
I think the one after the February meeting's late March sometime.
Okay.
I'll look it up and let you guys know when that is. But
Yeah. So what does that look like? Like if you were going to tell some random guy, this is what to expect. What does it look like?
So the Wildlife Council's sitting in a U shape. Basically, there's a big conference table, and they're sitting in a U shape. There's a podium in the front with a slide, screen for slides, and then usually it starts out with Mike Rex starts the meeting up. He's the chairman of the Wildlife Council. Then they do an open forum where you can talk about any current regulation proposals. It just so happens they're changing some deer stuff this spring, so they are letting us speak publicly on the open forum in front of the Wildlife Council, in front of all the people about, are the changes we'd like to see made. Up until this point, this is the first that they're letting us do that on their open forum, taking up those minutes to do that. You get 3 minutes apiece. They have 10 slots per meeting. Fill those up, guys. Like, seriously, fill them up. It's not that scary. There's maybe 60 people in the room. Most of it's DNR staff. But you have the Wildlife Council. There is, I'm not even sure how many of them are on it. There's probably 8 to 10 Wildlife Council members. They're all appointed. I know half of them are Democrats, half of them are Republicans. They're all appointed by the governor. They sit in a U shape. The chief sits in the middle with her secretary, and the chief kind of goes through things. So some of them are wildlife hearings where they're changing regulations. So then she will go down the list reading off all the proposed regulation changes, and they will vote on each one as they go, either passing it or denying it, essentially. And then that's on a wildlife hearing meeting. On a normal council meeting, they'll do updates. So you can see down there where I said, if you scroll down through the Wildlife Council to the bottom, it says public hearings and meetings and council meetings. You click on that to give you a calendar. You can click on each one, and you can see like their schedule for the evening. So like last night, they did a big long presentation on insects, certain insects that are endangered or extinct.
What
and
did
they
you
were
say?
changing
The honeybee?
Something with the bee.
honeybees. Yep.
Yeah.
Honeybees. There's like, what did they say? Like, I can't even remember how many different kinds of honeybees in Ohio. They go through all that stuff. That's a whole thing in itself. I personally, I'm like, I want to see the whole wildlife ecosystem thriving, 100%. But you have the same people managing insects as you do Ohio's most valuable resource, and I feel like we need a deer council, not just a wildlife council.
Yeah.
That's a whole different issue in itself. But they go through all the different things. Some of them are very interesting. Last year they did a turkey study. The biologist comes out and gives a whole study rundown on turkeys. They have all these GPS collared hens, or it's like tracker hens with GPS trackers on them, and they study their nesting habits, reproduction rates, all this different stuff that they come out with in these awesome numbers. Which, by the way, our turkeys are really, really, really struggling. If you guys didn't know, I want to say, if I remember correctly, at the last year at the meeting, he said from the hens that this would have been in the summer sometime, I think, because it would have been after nesting season when they gathered all their data and they took care. They had 60 some hens that they were tracking and following, and they averaged through those 60 half a poult per hen survival rate, which is literally not even sustainable.
Yeah.
Half a poult.
That's wild.
Wow.
And it was.
What are they blaming that on?
So that's
predator.
So that was one of the questions that the council members asked. Was it primarily predator? What was it? And they said that actually they couldn't figure out, for whatever reason. There was a bunch of predation, but it wasn't the largest issue. The hens were losing interest in their nests and walking away, which is extremely weird. Now, I have a theory on this. Let me put my tinfoil hat on. Baiting corn is very susceptible to aflatoxins. Even in silos, like they have to keep it well ventilated and whatnot. I don't know the whatever, but it gets aflatoxins.
Because you can die from that stuff, yeah.
And certain aflatoxins are known to cause infertility in poultry. So let's say the tom would still breed the hen, a rooster would still breed a chicken, tom would still breed the hen would still lay eggs. The eggs are not fertile, so that they would never hatch. I can't find any other explanation why a hen would leave her nest. It's like they just up and leave their nest. It doesn't make any sense. I feel like that could certainly be related. I had a brief conversation with the biologist on his way out one night, asking him if that's something they would ever consider studying. and did not really get a straight answer, but I would like to pursue that more for sure. But yeah, half a poult per hen is not ideal, but that's some of the stuff they talk about at the Wildlife Council meetings. They go through all different kinds of stuff, but in reality, the main reason we go is to show up, to be present, to show that we're here, we're not going away, we're interested in this. This is something that we care a lot about. I drive 2 hours to get here, and I drive 2 hours home, and I get there, try to get there early, talk to all these council members, talk to people before, network, explain why I'm there, what we're doing. At this point, they all know. We just basically, talk to the same people and just keep showing up. And then we stay after. Last night at the council meeting, we were there for an hour after the meeting talking to Mike Rex and just, kind of debating back and forth on a lot of this stuff. And I think those conversations ultimately end up being super important. And the more and more people show up, I was telling Kevin before the podcast started, when we first started going to council meetings, there was like a few just people from the public. Most of it was staff. There was a few people there. A lot of these meetings are filling up pretty good now. And I will say a lot of it's waterfowl guys. Like the waterfowl guys, those guys come to meetings and they freaking show up.
They're serious about it.
They are diehards. And I'm like, we need to get some freaking deer guys here that are the same way.
Yeah.
Like this
We'll
is
be there. We'll be there.
It's and the waterfowl guys, like they get stuff done, man. Like the one guy, he was talking about certain migration stuff and the goose season in his area is too late and whatever. And they literally, the biologist sat down with him and they made changes. He came back a couple weeks later to another council meeting and spoke in the open forum, just thanked them for their time and thanked them for creating the change that they did and how it fixed things and whatever. And like, dude, that's awesome. And they want to hear from you. Like they want you to show up. They want to see you. They want to see support. And the more we dump on, I really believe that a lot of this stuff, like their biologists tell them, they know baiting's bad. Baiting, like if you ask the state biologist, you call right now, it'd be Clint McCoy. Mike Tonkovich retired last spring. It'd be Clint McCoy. Call Clint McCoy and ask him, hey, what's the biological argument for baiting?
Well, he on the Hunter podcast, they asked him straight up on the Hunter podcast, and he could not give
There's no reason.
biological reason to bait.
Yeah, it doesn't. It is not beneficial to the wildlife whatsoever. It's simply it's us as hunters essentially being selfish, not pointing the finger at anybody. For real, I'm not. I've been feeding.
He was looking at
He
you.
just stared me down. I'm not pointing my finger.
I'm not pointing my finger at anybody. No, for real. Like it's just there's no biological reason to be baiting deer.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, over 70% of their diet is supposed to be made up of browse. And if we're substituting that with corn, that's not a good thing. Corn is very low on the nutrition scale. So that's the thing I feel like what we need to do is create pressure to basically give them the ability to create a positive change. They feel a little bit stuck because they know it would be beneficial to the resource. But they don't want to be bombarded with people that are mad. They don't want to be the next Gary Alt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know his story at all, but he's the guy that created the PA antler restrictions. People hated him. Well, now we're years later, and people love him, and he's receiving awards. Last year, I think he accepted an award from PA for conservation, wildlife management stuff, and like people are all about it. Like the same guys that were making death threats at the time wrote him letters later thanking him.
Yeah.
But just nobody wants to stand up and be that guy. So we need to show them, hey man, like if you do this, you have our support. You have overwhelming support.
I think one thing, kind of going with the PA thing, like nobody wants a hard time now. They just they can't see into the future of the benefit.
Correct.
They want right now.
Yep, exactly. That is the biggest thing. Guys, especially guys on small parcels, they're thinking right now, on my small parcel, if I quit feeding, I have no deer. And it's like, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. But if we get rid of baiting everywhere, those deer will be equally distributed across the landscape. Yeah, your 3 acres won't have 20 deer on it, but it's not supposed to.
No,
it can't sustain.
Exactly.
That. Yeah,
exactly.
And not to mention that I truly fully believe we would see a redistribution of some of this ground through outfitters, through non-residents, even through guys insulating. I really believe we'd see redistribution. I think it'd be a lot easier for guys like me to knock on 100 doors and get maybe 25 yeses. And because I always ask people, like a guy that's hunting on a 4-acre parcel, there's a lot of guys hunting 4 acres or less. And I'm like, were you hunting 4 acres or less 15 years ago?
No.
And they're like, no.
Nobody even
Well,
thought
I had
about
this conversation with a guy at the Northeast Ohio Sportsman Show. He he sees the benefits that getting rid of bait would have, but he's hunting small properties right now, and it worries him. And we had this conversation. I said, were you hunting these small properties 15 years ago? And he said, well, no. I was like, no, you were hunting 100 acres probably with 3 other guys.
Yeah.
And I said, how was your experience then versus now? Like, you're stuck on if there's not a giant deer like right close to your 4 acres, you got no shot.
Yeah.
You're out. And not only that, but I said, so 15 years ago, you were hunting 100 acres with 3 other guys. You all got displaced by somebody insulating themselves. So now you're all hunting small properties. You're all hunting, let's say, 4 acres. I said, in 15 years, where are your kids going to hunt? Are they going to hunt on a half acre?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to keep getting smaller. Like, it's not going to just flatline. It's right now the trend is smaller and smaller properties. The trend's not just going to all of a sudden flatline. It's going to keep going smaller and smaller properties. And at some point, it's going to be, a big issue. Well, it already is. We're losing hunters over it. So
interesting. My last thought while you take a drink, because I appreciate you talking so much, and honestly, fantastic information. There's a lot of there's a lot of things that have opened my eyes and etc. Maybe you can talk about this on air. Maybe you can't. Selfishly, I'm curious. What kind of conversations are you guys having with, like, say, a Mike Rex after this meeting? Like, after the official Mike, gets cut. Like what did that conversation look like?
We can definitely talk about it. There's some names I wouldn't want to mention just because I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Yeah,
but like
course,
our conversation last night with Mike, it was simply I right after the meeting I went up, we shook hands, and I asked him point blank. I said, Mike, what is your biggest, like, why are you opposed to getting rid of baiting? Why are you opposed to it? Like, what's the, and his answer, he immediately said, I'm neutral. I'm not opposed to it. I'm neutral. I'm neutral on the matter. And I said, I don't believe that. I can tell, it feels like when I bring something up, you challenge it from that standpoint. And he said, I'm just trying to help you look at, see it from a different point of view and that type of thing, which I respect if that's true. I do believe that he defends it. I think that he is nervous about getting rid of baiting. I know that through conversation last night, we talked about it. I mean, we hashed it out. He would bring up on a reason, like something like, show me a state that has gotten rid of baiting and improved. And I said, I don't have one. Why can't Ohio be the first? If we wait for another state to make that move every single time, then we're never going to get anywhere. If we can't be the first and stand up and be the big boys and make a move, because there will be others that follow if we do it. Kentucky's on their way. Then he kind of pushes back on, well, he'll go, with something else, whatever. We just go back and forth. Literally, we have a respectful, essentially back and forth debate right there. And I think it's really healthy. And I think that, through these conversations, I definitely feel like I made some points that he didn't think about or that he didn't have an answer to that made him think. And he certainly has, I'm sure, things that he can say that makes me think. He did. He brought up Michigan. Michigan's got rid of baiting and brought it back, and got rid of baiting and brought it back. And why is that? Well, my answer is don't compare us with Michigan. Michigan sucks. Let's not do whatever they do. Like, whatever they do the opposite. That being said, I don't know why they keep doing that. Like, why are they bringing it back again? It makes zero sense. But, those conversations are important. Like, it gets me thinking. I'm going to do some research on Michigan. Why are they bringing baiting back? Are they not shooting enough deer? Because if that's the case, well, I would compare that, look at and I brought this up last night, look at our CWD surveillance area. Are we not shooting enough deer? Our harvest keeps going up. Did our license sales decrease? But then his opposition to that is, well, but we have an early gun season in there as well. Fair point, but I would like to show me statistics then. It's not that hard to get those statistics. Is our archery harvest lower? How many deer are we shooting in that early gun season?
Yeah,
we can get all
argument.
those numbers. But those are the conversations we have with them. And honestly, that's mainly with Mike, with a lot of the other guys. And I think Mike, those conversations with Mike were a lot stemmed from like the Facebook post. I'm sure you guys saw the Facebook post he was
Everybody
making.
did, yeah.
And I had texted him during those Facebook posts. We had texted back and forth a little bit, and then I just think it's good to, like, in person, like, let's talk about this. Like, we don't have to just talk about it online. Let's talk about it in person too. It's a lot easier to dialogue that way, and also stay, like, understand each other fully, like what you're meaning. But then with a lot of the council members, it's just, hey, how you doing? And they ask how we're coming and what we're doing. And then we ask them, what do you see? Like, what do you see trending? What do you see happening? It's just building relationships, a couple of these guys we offered turkey hunts to last year. We're taking one of the wildlife council members turkey hunting this spring, hopefully, if it all works out. And we'll extend those offers to some different state representatives. And just, building relationships, building connections, telling them, especially they've heard from us. They know where we stand on it, why we feel the way we do. But as like the public coming in, we'll go up and talk to him, be like, hey man, this is what's happening in my area. We had a guy last night that was like, you guys say that, we have way too many deer. He's like, EHD didn't hit my area. We don't have enough deer. He's like, we don't see deer. He said, when I was a kid, we saw deer everywhere. We don't have them. And his argument was, we need a DMAP program. He's spot on. Ohio needs DMAP.
100%.
Like we're trying to manage by county, and it's like
it's not possible.
One end of the county to the opposite is completely different.
There's so many pockets, because the property that I own that my wife and I purchased, like a very, very low deer density area. And if you go 10 minutes down the road, there's 100 does out in an alfalfa field. So like I completely understand DMAP is something that we should definitely use.
Oh, I agree. I think DMAP would be a great step. And I will say, like, I feel like, some guys ask, like, you've been doing this for 2 years. Like, have you made any progress? Well, I will say, I feel like we've had, like, major breakthrough in the last 6 months, just with the connections we've made, the people that found out that we're trying to do this and jumped on board, the people that I've talked to the first year that were like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you doing this? Who now are like, hey man, we're all on the board. Like, we want to help. Like, what can we do? That's huge to see that see people's wheels start spinning and jumping on board. But I would say the one thing that excites me is, like, when we meet with these guys, like, they listen, like they actually do. Like, yeah, some things are pretty, controversial, baiting, very controversial. It's hard to just pull the rug out from under it. But like with non-residents, we sat down, had a meeting with them, and I did not want to leave that meeting without something. And before we left, they told us, like, hey, we will increase we can't go straight to a draw. Like, we don't want to do that, but we will do a price increase. Like, we will work on that. We will get that together. They did it. That's huge. That feels so good. Like, that is such, like, so much gas on the fire. That's a win. Yeah. It's a small step, but it's a win, and it's a step in the right direction. And these people are not opposed to going to a non-resident lottery system. They definitely know. They're not dumb. They know they can up the prices higher. People will pay for it.
They'll still pay.
Add preference points into it. People buying points every year. You're going to make more money and have half the hunters in here. Yeah. And they see that. They know that. They're working towards it. It will happen. It's just a matter of time.
Okay.
Cool.
I mean, Rex told me last night, he was like, that's something I could definitely get behind. He said, I have a lot of out-of-state friends that come and hunt, but he said, we gotta, and basically we gotta put the resource first on this and prioritize the residents. The residents are the guys that are for sure buying a license every year. They're buying all their hunting. They're buying all their corn in Ohio.
Yeah.
It's always good to look at it.
I didn't look at you that time.
You didn't, but you made it very clear not to. Yeah. And I was like,
do you think
you got a point though?
Do you think ego has a little bit to do with, maybe not anybody particular, but like you bring up an issue and they just like dig their heels in more because they don't maybe see that way? Like, the harder you fight, the harder they fight back.
Like almost like a power trip.
Yeah.
I would say that's not as common, but I've definitely had that. Yeah, I've experienced it. The one guy, the one guy he just straight up wanted to go at it, and it's like I'm going to keep it respectful. I'm going to but I will 100% debate this with anybody. But yeah, I feel like I can think of one conversation I had with a DNR staff member that was more that way. But man, most of these people are pretty good people. Okay. In reality, they really are.
Good. Cool.
Yeah, I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy having conversations, and they're really good guys. The one guy, Solomon Curtis, I think that's his full name. Awesome dude. He's on the Wildlife Council. This guy is so full of energy. He's a younger guy. He's big bass fisherman. That's like kind of his thing. Like he loves fishing, and he is so fun to talk to, man. He is just like, every time you talk to him, like, he's just bursting with energy, like
Yeah.
ready, and he's just happy. And that's how a lot of these guys are. He's passionate about bass fishing. We're trying to get him into hunting. We're going to try to take him turkey hunting this year, and trying to get him into that. But like, yeah, like a lot of these guys are just great dudes. Actually, there's a guy that's on his way out. His term just ended. He'll be at the next couple meetings still, but his term is ending. He's going to be done soon, and he's like, I mean, just super passionate about wildlife. Like, just they care, like really truly care. But there's just some of these topics like that they will not bring up themselves. Like they know what's off limits.
Yeah.
They know what they're not supposed to initiate, the conversations they're not supposed to initiate. But I guess one big thing, it's not really in our field. It is something that I actually had a biologist reach out to me recently, asking if we would be open to using our name and 501c4 to help with other areas throughout, whether it's waterfowl, trapping, that type of thing. He's a big waterfowl guy. And I don't know if you guys have heard anything about the flooded cornfields, but it's a big deal. It's like, it's a big deal. Like there's a lot going on with it. It got brought up last night's Division of Wildlife meeting. One of the council members, there's a limited time frame where the council members are able to bring up anything they would like to talk about. And one of the guys brought up this flooded cornfield thing. I guess there was a senator from Louisiana wrote a letter to D.C. about this. The flooded cornfields allegedly have shifted migration patterns to where they are seeing about 10% of the birds they used to be seeing because they're getting hung up in Midwestern flooded cornfields. Yeah. And it's creating a big thing.
I'm not a big waterfowl guy. What is this?
So
You literally flood corn.
yeah, you're not you're not allowed to bait.
You're not allowed to bait
For
waterfowl.
waterfowl.
Well, how do you flood it? Put the garden hose out there?
No, they
They pump
literally-
water in and dam stuff off and
They
redirect
pump it
water.
from streams, and it's nuts.
Oh, they'll have 3 foot of water in a standing cornfield, and it's just duck heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild. I'm not a waterfowl guy myself. I don't know much about it. I told this guy, like, hey man, like if this is what the people want, like 100%, like we're open. We want to make sure that like we have people in place to take care of that stuff that are passionate about it and
Knowledge
know
and
about
stuff,
it.
yeah.
Like I'm not that guy. Like, but if we can bring guys in, like this guy's a biologist, he's passionate about waterfowl, and if he's willing to like kind of take charge and run with that, by all means.
So what, they take like a dozer and just like dam up a cornfield and then just flood
Oh,
it?
yeah. And it's temporary. I mean, they
Right.
redirect that water for a week.
Yep.
But it's just enough that it's
they know the
coming in
migration
and-
patterns. Right before those ducks come, they flood those cornfields, and those ducks get hung up in their areas instead of keep on moving and migrating on down south.
There was a big thing. I started in waterfowl 2017 timeframe when Fred Zink was huge. And he ended up doing that on several of their shows. They would bring it in and they would pump water into there. And then they'd put out, 800 decoys because he had the money to do it. And it was just like they'd limit out in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of ducks and geese that they had flying in was insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this council member said, like, full transparency, like, I have hunted over flooded corn. I've hunted with outfitters over flooded corn. But he's like, this is an issue that's going to come up. He said it's coming hard and heavy, and like just like the basically he was warning the division, like, we need to make a call on this. Which way? Where do we stand? What are we going to do? Because I guess so. The law is stated something like you can't bait waterfowl, but you can hunt over
Like a natural
natural farming
Yeah.
Practices.
natural farming practices. And he said the way, it's up to interpretation, but he said the way I interpret that is that's not a natural. You're not flooding a cornfield for natural farming practices. So I don't know what's going to happen with it, but it'll be and those
Depends
guys
who
are.
you ask.
Yeah.
I mean, I really need my farm field wet.
Yeah. We want to bury that track.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of interesting stuff like that. Even with bobcats, stuff like that. That's stuff that we talk to him about. We have those conversations. It's not something that I've pushed incredibly hard. I do think Ohio is.
We need a season.
We're way overdue.
They're
We're
getting bad.
And there's nothing's hunting them. Nothing's killing a bobcat.
No.
Naturally. There is a study. They have the numbers that suggest that we can support a season, a limited tag allocation tag season. but they just haven't done anything with it yet at this point. That was brought up last night, and the chief was asked about it by a council member. When is this going to get looked at, that type of thing, and she actually said they completed the study. I want to say in 2018, and just nothing has happened yet.
And the numbers have certainly increased since then.
They are saying
Tripled.
their studies show 20% increase per year. That is wild.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Well, I had a picture of one up here in Worcester,
Unreal.
which
I mean,
is not
yeah,
uncommon,
yeah.
but like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot. I mean, most of the farms that I hunt, places that I hunt, I have pictures of bobcats.
Yeah.
Almost every. I don't
Yeah.
actually. I think every single property has a bobcat.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. Any final thoughts, boys? I know we're probably hour and a half, 2 hours by now.
Just under, hour 45, but
Yeah.
this is good.
I really appreciate it, by the way.
Man, I
informative.
appreciate having you guys on. I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate any opportunity to just help people see our point of view, help people see, and as the biggest thing is like, man, we're not trying to be divisive. Like we love hunters. We love to hunt. We're diehards. We just want to see the story. We just want to see it improve. We want to leave it better than we found it. Forget about today and think about tomorrow.
Amen.
Think about your kids.
Amen. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, like my final thoughts would be like, I would challenge anybody listening that like, it's not going to be easy to transition. Like we all, me included, like I'm going to have to give something up for the future to be better. And I feel like I just like to challenge anybody listening that like, let's stop thinking about the present and maybe think about the future. And then like, even our kids and generational, it's like, if we keep taking, eventually there's going to be nothing left.
100%.
So like
Yeah.
somebody has to be the adult in the room,
Yep. Yep. That's the other thing is like we did I'll be quick with this, but we did at the Northeast Ohio Sportsman Show, did a roundtable discussion about, it was mostly about like the heritage of hunting and how this will look in the future and the impacts that, the new technologies and all this stuff have. And it's crazy, like from when I was a kid, how it was, our crossbows were like
25, 30 yards max.
Yeah, our shotguns were 75, 85, maybe 100 if you stretched it out. And now, these crossbows are advertised as rifle-like groups at 100 yards.
Yeah.
Like your gun, with the gun hunting we were doing in 2005, you're doing all archery season long now.
Yeah.
And that's wild. But the big thing that we were talking about is like, with all this stuff, like, yeah, it's all part of the problem. But man, like the thing that we really want to see is like, be happy for each other. Like, just like, try to fall in love with the sport enough to where you care more about the animals, more about the experience than you do like, I need to shoot that big buck. Like I got to shoot that buck. Or like if the neighbor shoots him, like, oh, the neighbor shot my buck. Like, forget about that. Be happy for the neighbor. Like, man, I've got a neighbor. The one neighbor, like, he's awesome. I've shot some really good deer off a farm right next to him. And I'm newer. I've been hunting that area for 5 or 6 years. He hunted it his whole life. And he puts a ton of work into his farm. The whole time I've been there, he shot bucks, but they were on other farms. He hasn't shot a single buck on his home farm since I've been hunting that area. And he has pictures. A lot of times more pictures, or at least summertime pictures. He's growing some studs, and they come over to our farm and we shoot them. Like, and it's not that he's doing something wrong. We're doing something right. It's just like, we've gotten lucky. We've
Just
been
how the
blessed.
deer move.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
how the deer have moved, and we've got. And he's like, dude, this guy's ecstatic every time. He's like, oh, dude, you got to bring him over. I want to see him, and like he's fired up. And I'm like, dude, if this was the other way around, like, how would I react?
Yeah.
How would I react if he was killing him? If I was trying to put all this time and we put a lot of time and energy into it too, but like, if he was killing all these deer, I had a neighbor killing all these deer, like, how would I react? And like, because some guys, like, they'll congratulate you, whatever. This guy is genuinely happy. Like, he is tickled. And it's like it just makes me think, like, if a neighbor shoots the deer I'm after, like, I always try to pick one buck to pursue every year. And like, if he gets shot, like, it just is a fresh reminder every time, like, be happy for him. Like, sometime it'll be my turn again. Like, and if it's not, like, man, I had the opportunity to go out here. We've created a kind of I don't know what you would call it. Like it's all about like the big antlers or the
just
harvest
a competition.
It's like, man, like you sit out there on a crisp November morning and you're watching the squirrels chase each other around and the birds are chirping, the sun's coming up. I mean, sometimes in November the turkeys are gobbling. It's like, dude, it just doesn't get any better than this. Like this is why I hunt.
Sometimes, excuse me. Sometimes it's more about just spending time in God's creation. So like we're very open about our faith on this podcast, and like it's not about killing the deer, you know, like
100%.
Man, sometimes just being out there and just having a conversation with God is just it's what it's about.
Oh, it is. My most like powerful Jesus moments usually happen in the woods.
Oh,
like,
amen.
Like I spend the most time praying, just like fully immersing myself in His presence in the woods. Like I'm by myself. It's quiet. You're in like His natural, beautiful creation. It's amazing. Like, and that's the big thing that like, it's like, man, just enjoy it. Like just have fun. This is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be all this like stressful, trying to be, you know, competitive, and like just have fun. This year for me, having fun, I shot one of the smallest bucks I've ever shot. It was with a longbow, and I literally had a blast.
Amen.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yep. Amen.
And I think that's just like, have fun, whatever that means. If that means, you know, hunting deer over a corn pile and killing the, you know, whatever, like that's fine. If that's what that is to you, by all means. Or if that means shooting the first 6-pointer that comes in, have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is. And to some guys it will be. Like to me, like I still love chasing a big deer. Like I love it. That's fun to me. But like try to reflect back to just enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be happy for somebody else because they're not at the same level, or they may not have the same goals that we
100%.
all have. Yeah. So just be happy.
And if you think about it, like that deer, if the neighbor would shoot it, how do you know that wasn't on his top of the list for a few years
or his
too?
biggest
like,
buck?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Like your target buck is the neighbor's target buck too.
100%.
So like, yeah, you gotta be happy for them.
Yep.
Amen. Amen. Well, I think that was a fantastic podcast. Final thoughts? Anyone?
I would just say let everybody know where they can find you, socials, the website, get a hold of you, support in whatever way they're possible of doing.
Yep. Well, we're on Instagram, Facebook. We're working on ramping our presence up on there. We had a media company reach out and say that they would love to run that for us, just as a donation. You know, that they're big hunters, and we're gonna probably take them up on that just because we struggle to have the time to do it. But I would say the easiest way to get a hold of us is Instagram DM, Hunters Advocate _Ohio, OH, I think. HuntersAdvocateOhio.org is our website. You can reach out through the Contact Us button there. That'll send an email to my email. But yeah, reach out and call your reps, look up your state reps, and I mean, let them know how you feel.
Give them an earful.
Yeah, that's right. I'll have your guys' Instagram and website in the description of this episode.
Perfect.
So anybody wants to just scroll down, click on that, and it'll direct you right to either Instagram or the website.
Yep. And also, I would encourage anybody that's like on the fence or not sure how they feel about this stuff, like go check out Iowa Whitetail, Skip Sly, any podcast he's done. The guy is fantastic. Whitetail genius. I mean, he is unbelievable.
Have you ever seen his wall? I mean, he
it's
just
insane.
has monsters.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Mondos.
Well, and he's really kind of connected to like the Midwest Whitetail guys, Bill Winkie, Jared Mills, and like he helps set up those farms and do things behind the scenes on that stuff. He actually owned Midwest Whitetail at one point. But yeah, great dude and so knowledgeable. He's so smart, and I'm sure if you reach out through Instagram DM to him, he'll get back to you pretty quick too.
That's cool.
Yep. Okay. Thank you much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yep. I apologize about my scratchy voice. Kev, rev us up.
Alrighty, remember, it doesn't matter what you have done in the past. You can always be born again, and born again is out.
Peace.